if you need to get 1500 plus or above on your SAT exam in the next 5, 3, or even 2 days, then you need to understand these 5 powerful tactics that can make it happen. So let's get started. So here we have strategy number 1, and it's called what versus so what method, and it is so powerful. And firstly, I will give you the SAT question that I've created, and then I will show you how this strategy is applied in this specific question, and I will show you how you can use this exact same strategy on other SAT questions. So let's look at this SAT question. So let's start reading this. So it asks for the main idea of the text. Now let's read it. The proliferation of digital consumption, okay, regarding conventional print literature versus emergent electronic media. So they are comparing two things. The first one is conventional print literature, and the second one is emergent electronic media. So while those traditional books, they are for textual engagements, digital alternatives such as ebooks, audiobooks, and hyperlinked articles have introduced a shift in cognitive retention and accessibility. So it says the benefits of both of these methods, both traditional ones and digital ones. So now they're saying what researchers posit. And what those researchers think is integrating both of those, both print and digital formats, will help them for comprehension and recall. Yep. And it says there is an increase in retention rates. By the way, en route to being able to ace the digital SAT, figuring all this stuff, I highly advise you to check out a really helpful platform called deeptest.ai, who are very kindly sponsoring this video. And it's actually a platform that I've genuinely found really useful. If you're prepping for the digital SAT, this is honestly a game changer. Deep Tests gives you targeted SAT practice tests, and the best part, you get access to 7 full tests completely free. But what makes Deep Tests special is the post-test breakdown. It doesn't just say you got a 1340. It shows your performance by difficulty, by knowledge and skill, and even by question subtype, so you know exactly where you're weak. Most platforms don't even come close to this kind of analysis. So far, over 33,000 tests have been taken by students from 120 plus countries, and many of them have seen measurable score increases. There are also topic-based exercises to improve your weaknesses that you found from practice tests. So if you want to increase your SAT score, just head to deeptest.ai. Link is in the description. Start with the free tests, explore your results, and see what you learned. Yeah. Now, the main idea, in order to predict this question, this strategy, which is what's versus so what method, is going to help us to predict it. So the first step is, after reading a passage, ask yourself these 2 questions. So the first question here is, what is the passage talking about? So in this case, you have to find the topic. And in this passage, it was print versus digital media. And then the next question that you want to ask yourself is, so what's the big takeaway? Main idea, in this case, which is main idea, is using both print and digital formats together improves comprehension. So using both is really good. Now we can go to the answer choices and choose the right answer. Choice A. The transition from print to digital media signifies an inevitable of conventional books. Okay. So inevitable is a very extreme word, and I don't really like it. And as well, in addition to that, there's no kind of a transition from print to digital media, and the passage says we have to integrate both. That's why choice A is wrong. Now let's have a look at choice B. Digital consumption modalities have redefined the cognitive processes associated with textual engagement. Nothing about redefining those processes. So that's why choice B is wrong. A hybrid approach integrating print and digital media fosters superior comprehension and retention. And that's exactly what we predicted, and that's the correct answer to it. Now let's have a look at choice D. Audiobooks and ebooks have demonstrably surpassed traditional reading in terms of cognitive efficiency. No, we can't say that because the passage's conclusion is that we have to integrate both. And in this case, they're saying digital formats are better. No, it's not. So D is also wrong. So the best choice here is choice C. Now, let's move on to the next strategy. Strategy number 2. And it's so powerful. If you use it right, I'm sure you can ace your March SAT or whatever exam you're taking. Before we get into the next part, let's be real. If what you're doing right now actually worked, you'd already have a 1500. Well, most SAT students aren't lazy. They're just stuck. They don't have a real plan. They had too many books and still making silly mistakes on easy SAT questions. That's exactly why I built the SAT Elite Coaching. SAT Elite Coaching is a coaching program where I train students live twice a week using real SAT patterns that show up on test day over and over again. You're not watching videos, you're solving, strategizing, fixing what actually holds you back. You will get access to 8 live sessions a month, session recordings, priority support, and a full SAT prep community. So it has to do all about extreme words. And knowing these words is going to help you to eliminate answer choices really quickly. And if you can spot those, it's going to be so easy. But I can't guarantee that every single answer choice that uses those extreme words is incorrect. In 99%, in 98% of the times, those answer choices are going to be wrong that include an extreme word. But sometimes if the passage actually says that, then it might also be true. So I've actually went ahead and collected all those extreme words that you should be aware of. And I found 3 main patterns. So the first type of extreme words is absolute words. And those things include like always, never, completely, forever, all, everyone. And I highly recommend you to be aware of these things, to be aware of these words. And the next type is exaggerated or overgeneralized words. For example, those words can include inevitably, definitely, definitively, undoubtedly, universally, unstoppable. And those words are exaggerated or overgeneralized words. And the next category is comparative versus superlative traps. Best, worst, least, greatest, ultimate, perfect, impossible, no chance. So I highly recommend you to know these. And I've actually got a PDF in the description below if you want to access to these. And now let's move on to the next strategy. Strategy number 3. And it's also really, really powerful. And if you know how to use it well, you can ace your exam. So let's start off. So it's all about understanding percentage increases. And a lot of the times on the FAT, in many of the exams, there are always questions related to percentages. So it's really important to understand this strategy. So firstly, before telling you how the strategy works, I want to show you the SAT question that will illustrate how it's used. The result of increasing the quantity X by 200% is 21. What's the value of X? So in this case, we've got a quantity, which is X, and this is like 100%. And if we have to add 200% of that, that would be 200%. That would be 2x. Let me fix that. Yep. 2x. And if we add both, because it's being increased, that would be 3x. 3x equals 21, and x equals 7. So here we found the right answer. So the best choice is B, 7. And here's a trap. D is a trap because they are using the same number as you can see here. So yeah, make sure that you're not gonna be rushing. So the main strategy here is understanding percentage increases. So here are 3 examples of them. 100% increase is doubling the original number. 200% increase is tripling the original number. And 300% increase is quadrupling, and so on and so forth. So here, this was the strategy number 3. And now let's move on to the next strategy, strategy number 4. And that is knowing these March SAT predictions. And the link to the PDF of like literally 100% free 12-page worksheet of those SAT English predictions is in the description below, and you can get access to it completely for free. So now let's move on to the last and most important strategy of all, and it's the one that is way more powerful than all these first 4 strategies. And if you know this one, I'm sure it's gonna be easy. And that strategy or tip, you could say, is avoiding choices that assume too much. Before we get into the next part, let's be real. If what you're doing right now actually worked, you'd already have a 1500. Well, most SAT students aren't lazy. They're just stuck. They don't have a real plan. They had too many books and still making silly mistakes on easy SAT questions. That's exactly why I built the SAT Elite Coaching. SAT Elite Coaching is a coaching program where I train students live twice a week using real SAT patterns that show up on test day over and over again. You're not watching videos, you're solving, strategizing, fixing what actually holds you back. You will get access to 8 live sessions a month, session recordings, priority support, and a full SAT prep community. Off this video, I want to say that this one is so tricky, and sometimes you may not even realize that you are assuming. That's why you literally have to pay attention to this SAT question that is on the screen right now. And let's have a look at this one. Which choice best describes the function of the 2 underlined portions in the text as a whole? So as you can see, you have a short 4-line poem and you've got a multiple choice question, and which asks us about the function of those 2 underlined portions. The first one is Ottoman lease, and the second one is my memories drift. So firstly, let's understand what this poem is about. So it's like a story, right? We've got a windy autumn day and there are leaves. They're swirling all over the place. So that means they have no control. They just move wherever they want. The wind pushes them wherever the wind pushes them. And you could think about memories as well here. So yes, they're kind of comparing those two things. Uh, and memories are also the ones that we don't really control. And just like those leaves in the wind, our thoughts, our memory drift around chaotically. So I guess the first underlying part, which is leaves, is kind of physical object. And the next second underlying part, which is memories, is abstract thing. So I guess the poem here is making a comparison between those first physical and abstract objects. So now let's go through the answer choices. Choice A. The poem isn't about time passing. It's about how memories move like let's look at choices. They contrast two perspectives, one external, one internal, on the passage of time. Well, this poem isn't about time passing, and it's about how memories move like those leaves. So this is wrong. Choice B, they provide examples, one natural, one psychological, of a force beyond control. So this one is so tricky, and it's almost correct because both winds and our memories are out of control. But it does examples, and the point isn't just listing those examples. It's making kind of a comparison, or we can also say that as a metaphor, maybe. Now, choice C, they describe the subjects, one tangible and one intangible, of a metaphor that extends throughout the poem. Yes. So the leaves here are tangible, and the memories here are intangible. And the poem, the poet compares them through very extended metaphor here. So I guess that's a perfect match. Now let's look at choice D. They symbolize two different experiences, one painful and one nostalgic, that the speakers revisits in the poem. Well, the poem never says that one is painful and the other is nostalgic, so that's an assumption, I believe. So as you can see, I believe the best choice here is choice C. And now here's our strategy, which is assuming it looks like this. The SAT only asks about what is actually in the text, not what you think might be true. For example, in this case, in choice A, passage of time would be something that students might think, right? Because memories drift is kind of related to passage of time, but it's something that we're assuming. And even in choice D, you're kind of assuming that one is painful or the other is nostalgic. So that's the thing that you want to look out for. Not for humans, and no. For pigeons, for rats, for every creature that is desperately fighting for the survival in a city that never sleeps. You think New York is just buildings and people? That's completely wrong. It's an ecosystem, a battlefield. Every single square inch of the space is contested. The competition is so brutal. And in the middle of this chaotic struggle, we have one crucial word, which is claim. What does it even mean? It's not some legal document or it's not some peaceful negotiation. No one is politely stepping aside and saying, "Oh, excuse me, Mr. Rat, this spot is yours." No. It's the fight, it's survival, it's about who gets to stay and who gets pushed out. So, which answer choice captures this sort of ruthless energy? Let's kind of break them down. So, starting with choice A, declare. Declare ownership of. It sounds really fancy, right? Like a king sitting on a throne saying, "I declare this land mine." But we're not talking about royalty. We're talking about rats and pigeons battling for scraps. So this choice is wrong. Choice B, demands compensation for. What? Who's getting paid? Like, a rat isn't walking into a court saying, I demand financial compensation. No, it's not saying that. So we can literally eliminate this choice as well. Now let's have a look at choice C, reserve exclusively for. This choice looks like they are booking an Airbnb reserved from this ledge from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. No, this is not a reservation system, so this choice is wrong. Now let's have a look at choice D, compete to obtain. Yes, yes, yes. This is the war. This is competition. This is the very essence of what's happening on these streets. Every bird, every rodent is fighting for its place, for its food, for its survival. And this is the correct answer choice. So the final answer is choice D, compete to obtain. If you don't get this prediction question right, you will stay stuck and you will keep getting the same mediocre scores, the same frustrating results, the same feeling of why am I not improving? So let me show you how to solve this SAT prediction question. So step number 1 is looking at the question again slowly. So we are not just finding an answer. What we are doing is that we are finding the answer. So let's read it again. Feel it. What's this actually asking? So it's not asking for a fact, and it's asking for a function of what the underlined sentence is, and it's asking what the underlined sentence is doing in the passage. So the second step is reading the passage, but this time with awareness. So when studying the behavior of wild wolves in Yellowstone National Park, researchers observed a striking change in pack dynamics after the reintroduction of wolves to the area. Shifting from their solitary hunting practices to highly organized cooperative hunting strategies, the wolves began to take down larger prey with greater efficiency. This behavior, influenced by environmental pressures, allowed the wolves to survive in an ecosystem that previously struggled with a lack of predators. Do you see it? The first sentence sets up the big change. The underlying sentence zooms in on that event. And the last sentence explains why it matters. And that middle sentence is elaborating. It's giving the details that make the change real. So the next step is predicting before looking at the answer choices. And I will tell you this right now. Smart test takers predict first. And if you just jump to the answer choices, you get trapped. So your brain latches onto whatever sounds real good in answer choices. But if you already know what you're looking for, then you can smell the right answer. What is our prediction then? So the underlined sentence is adding detail to the previous one. It's giving a clear picture of the change in hunting strategies. So the next step is destroying the wrong answer choices. So let's go one by one. Choice A, it elaborates on the previous sentence statements about a change in the wolves' hunting strategies. Oh, this matches our prediction exactly. Choice B, it provides information about how the ecosystem evolved in support of a claim about wolf behavior advanced in the following sentence. Nope, this isn't about the ecosystem evolving. That's just background info in the last sentence. Choice C, it recounts a moment in the evolve's adaptation process that ensures the survival of the species, which is summarized in the following sentence. It sounds a little fancy but strong. The sentence isn't about a moment. It's just explaining the behavior. Choice D. It presents evidence that challenges the previous sentence characterization of wolf pack dynamics. What? There is no contradiction. The sentence is supporting the first one, not challenging it. So the final step is locking in the answer. So the final correct answer choice is choice A. That's it. That's how you dominate this type of SAT question. Now, if you're still hesitating, if you're still doubting yourself, ask yourself this. Before we get into the next part, let's be real. If what you're doing right now actually worked, you'd already have a 1500. Well, most SAT students aren't lazy. They're just stuck. They don't have a real plan, they had too many books and still making silly mistakes on easy SAT questions. That's exactly why I built the SAT Elite Coaching. SAT Elite Coaching is a coaching program where I train students live twice a week using real SAT patterns that show up on test day over and over again. You're not watching videos, you're solving, strategizing, fixing what actually holds you back. You will get access to 8 live sessions a month, session recordings, priority support, and a full SAT prep community. Are you actually applying these steps when you practice? Or are you just skimming the answer choices and hoping for the best? This is an SAT structure question, and you know what that means. They're not asking for what the passage says, they're asking how is this passage built. Think of it like architecture, like dissecting a blueprint. The first line, a question, and it pulls you in. It makes you wonder, why do sunflowers tilt but oaks don't? Then the passage offers a theory, a possible answer. It introduces oxen, it explains the difference, it tells us why one plant moves and the other stays still. So what's the structure here? It's question, then answer. So that's it. Simple, direct, and clean. Now, let's destroy the wrong answer choices one by one. Choice A, the text compares the growth patterns of 2 plant species, then explains how those patterns are affected by environmental changes. No. The passage does compare 2 plants, sure, but where is the part about environmental changes? Nowhere, not a single mention. So choice A is wrong. Choice B, the text presents a theory about 2 species, then discusses facts that weaken the theory. Weaken the theory where the whole passage supports the theory. It's not questioning it, so we can eliminate choice B as well. Choice C, the text poses a question about 2 species, then presents a possible answer. Yes. That's exactly what happens. Keep this one. Now choice C. The text describes a behavior shared by 2 species, then discusses other behaviors shared by them. Shared behaviors? No, these 2 plants are so different. One moves, one doesn't. So this choice is completely wrong. The correct answer is choice C because it's simple. And that is how you analyze SAT structure questions. You break it down, you look at the blueprint, and you choose the answer that actually fits, not the one that just sounds smart. Now, go apply this method in every SAT structure question that you see and watch how easy those questions are going to become. So the first step is reading the question. Here is the question: which choice best states the main purpose of the text? Pause right here. This is where most people mess up. Main purpose questions are not about random details, they are about one thing. Why did the author write this? Think of it like a text from a friend. What are they really trying to say? What is their main point? That's what we need to figure out. So the next step is reading the text. Popular systems are that solar panels and wind turbines dominate renewable energy discussions because they've changed global markets. Lesser known systems are the ones that says wave energy converters could also be crucial in fighting climate change. And a key point here is that unlike solar and wind, wave energy is still untapped, but it has huge potential for large-scale energy production. So the next step, step number 3, is predicting the answer choice. All right, so let's break this down. The first part, which is solar and wind energy, they're already famous. They are the celebrities of renewable energy. And the second part talks about wave energy, the underrated underdog. But scientists think it could be huge. The author isn't listing some problems. They're not saying wave energy is better than solar and wind. They're just shining a spotlight on wave energy's potential. So what is our prediction? Our prediction is that the passage is explaining why wave energy is an exciting and promising field in renewable energy research. So the next step, step number 4, is analyzing the answer choices. Now let's go full on these 4 answer choices. Choice A, to describe the technological challenges faced by wave energy systems during development. Nope, the passage never talks about problems or struggles. If this were a boxing match, this option wouldn't even be in the ring. So we can eliminate this choice. Choice B, to present reasons why renewable energy researchers consider wave energy systems to be promising. Yes, this is exactly what we predicted, and the passage hypes up wave energy's potential and says why scientists are excited about it. So let's keep this choice locked in. So choice C, to compare the efficiency of wave energy systems with that of solar and wind energy. Nah, there is no wave energy is 27% more powerful. Like, nonsense here. The passage isn't comparing efficiency, it's just explaining wave's energy's potential. And we can eliminate this choice. Choice D, to argue that wave energy systems are more effective at reducing emissions than solar or wind energy. Absolutely not. The passage isn't making an argument. No one is saying wave energy is the champion of renewables. So we can eliminate this choice as well. So the next step, step number 5, is deciding on the final answers. So the best choice here is choice B, to present reasons why renewable energy researchers consider wave energy systems to be promising. Now, I want to give you some tips to approach these types of questions. So the first tip is think big picture. Don't get lost in the small details. Instead, zoom out. Ask, why did the author write this? Step number 1, reading the text carefully. The text is about a study where Dr. Marcus Reyes is looking at how exercise affects the release of endorphins, the feel-good chemicals in your brain. And here's the key part. Low-intensity cycling doesn't really do much for endorphins. High-intensive cycling, boom, endorphins spike. But here's the most important part. heart rate didn't go past a certain level. So Dr. Reyes didn't think the increase in endorphins came from physical strain. Instead, she thinks it was the intensity of the exercise that caused the endorphins to release more. So the heart rate finding is important because it helps Dr. Reyes figure out why the endorphins were increased. Without it, he might have thought that increased endorphins were just from physical strain. Now, the next step is predicting our answer choice. Alright, so let's predict. Here's what we need to know. The heart rate not going past a certain level is super important because it rules out that the endorphins were released just from physical effort. And this means the heart rate finding is crucial. Before we get into the next part, let's be real. If what you're doing right now actually worked, you would already have a 1500. Well, most SAT students aren't lazy. They're just stuck. They don't have a real plan, they had too many books and still making silly mistakes on easy SAT questions. That's exactly why I built the SAT Elite Coaching. SAT Elite Coaching is a coaching program where I train students live twice a week using real SAT patterns that show up on test day over and over again. You're not watching videos, you're solving, strategizing, fixing what actually holds you back. You will get access to 8 live sessions a month, session recordings, priority support, and a full SAT prep community because it shows the increase in endorphins was due to intensity and not the physical effort, which, let's be honest, we all know is sometimes overrated, right? So based on this, I predict the answer is going to have something to do with ruling out an alternative explanation for the endorphin increase. So the next step, step number 3, is analyzing the answer choices. Now let's go through each answer choice really carefully. And we have to be like you're picking the best ice cream flavor from the freezer. You always choose the right one, right? Right. So choice A, it provided a preliminary evidence that endorphin levels increase during high-intensity cycling. Nope, the passage already told us the endorphins increase during high-intensity cycling. The heart rate finding isn't giving us that information. It's telling us why the increase happened. So we can literally eliminate this choice. Choice B, it suggested that changes in endorphin levels, endorphin release may occur during both high and low intensity exercise. Oh no. This isn't what the passage is saying. It doesn't suggest that low intensity exercise causes endorphin increases. It's focusing on high intensity exercise. So we can delete this one too. So choice C, it ruled out a potential alternative explanation for the increase in endorphin levels during high intensity cycling. Bingo, this is exactly what the passage is saying. The heart rate didn't go past a certain level, so the increase in endorphins couldn't be from physical strain, as Dr. Reyes was able to rule that out, and this is the right answer. Choice D, it clarified that endorphin release during exercise depended on participants' individual fitness levels. Nope. We didn't talk about individual fitness levels in the passage. The study didn't focus on that at all. We can toss this one away. So the next step is deciding on the final answer. And the correct answer choice is choice C. It ruled out an alternative explanation for why the endorphins increase during high-intensity cycling. The heart rate finding also helped it explain that it was the intensity, not the strain, that caused that increase. So now that you know how to use these powerful SAT strategies, you need to understand different question types. Every SAT skill that is tested, hard
questions on each question type, and mistakes to avoid. And that's why I've put together the free 11-hour digital SAT free course showing you everything that you need to know to get a high SAT score. So check out this free SAT course to blow up your SAT score.